My name is Kwaku Darfour of the Darfour Law Firm. We practice personal injury law throughout the state of Florida, and our main office is located here in Fort Lauderdale. Thank you for joining me today. Today, I'd like to discuss some of the most challenging reasons that personal injury claims are difficult to resolve. If you've ever been in an accident or if you've ever been hurt, you know probably your attorney has discussed with you some of these issues before. And if you haven't, today is a very good day to learn some of the reasons why a case may take so long or just may go back and forth so much because of these reasons, okay? Now I'm going to share with you 5 reasons, all right? And all 5 of these could come up in your case, or maybe just 1 or 2 may come up in your case. But the first reason may be liability and causation. To find the defendant liable means that they basically were the fault of the collision, right? Or of the injury per se. If it's not a car accident and it was something else, it was their fault. They didn't do something they should have done, or they did something they shouldn't have done. And then a liability would attach to them. The next thing is causation, right? So just because you were hurt, you have to be able to prove that the actual injury was caused by the person that is being held liable for making an action, doing an action, or from not doing an action. So let's say you had a herniated disc, right? But there's an x-ray or MRI from last year, the year before the accident, that same disc had the same injury. Now there's going to be a problem then if you have an MRI after your incident that shows that disc is herniated because now there's 2 MRIs, they show the same injury, and which one was caused by the incident that you were most recently involved, right? So that's one of the issues, is proving that the actual injury that you have sustained was caused by the incident that you're suing for or that you're filing a claim for. It's very essential that your attorney makes sure that he or she has your medical records, and if you have anything prior, they also have that medical record, okay? The second reason that in personal injury claims are challenging is because of the insurance company tactics. And with the recent passing of new legislative bill, you can expect a lot more of this. The insurance companies are in the business of making money, and in order for them to make money, that means they're keeping as much money of the premiums as possible, investing that or lending that out. The less they pay out, the more their shareholders make, right? So they're going to have all type of tactics to delay, deny your claim. They're going to not pay, right? They're going to offer a lowball offer. They're going to just say, you know what? Their client wasn't at fault, or that your injuries are pre-existing, and they're going to force you to really litigate your claim and your case to prove to them that they should pay a certain amount. Just because you're injured doesn't mean the insurance company is going to pay, and just because you're injured and it was their client's fault, that still doesn't mean that they're going to pay, because they're going to find and try to use some defenses, right? With the recent legislation, now a lot of personal injury claims are, they're shielded from what's called bad faith, right? So before the law was passed recently, attorneys like myself could bring claims for bad faith action if we could prove that the insurance company did not engage in good faith, just to put it clearly. Now it's a lot harder to bring those claims because the new bill has given them more leeway and more opportunity to cure that. So, they don't have an incentive to pay you what the value of your claim or what your injuries are, quickly, right? And speaking of that same bill now, Florida, we are now what's called a comparative negligence state. Prior to this bill, we were a contributory negligence state. So what's the difference? In a comp negligence state, which is what Florida is now, if you were involved in an accident that was with someone else, but if you were more than 50% at fault, you cannot recover anything. You are zipped. Before the legislation, if a truck driver slammed into you and maybe you also weren't paying attention, but the truck driver wasn't paying attention, if you're found, even 51% at fault, you would still be able to claim 49% of your damages, right? That was before in what we were in a contributory negligence state that we were before the passage of this legislation. Now, in that same case that I just discussed, if you were 51% at fault, you get zipped. If you had a amputated leg and they find that, hey, you should have been been paying attention, and because you didn't pay attention, we're going to deem that you're more than 50% at fault, so you're not going to get anything. It's a very serious issue here. Another thing that may be very challenging in a personal injury case is actually calculating your damages, right? Because your damages are not just your medical bills, what your insurance paid for you to get treated, but you also have to consider things such as pain and suffering, right? And how do you put a price on someone's pain and suffering that they've endured from the date of the accident all the way till the case gets resolved? It's very hard to, right? Another thing is also if you have a claim for, let's say, future income, right? Or loss of income in the future, or loss of earning capacity. Those are very difficult to prove because you have to bring an expert, an economic expert, to say this is how much you would have made for this amount of time, and now they have to bring it back to present value and so forth. So it's very difficult to calculate those damages. The easier damages to prove obviously are your economic damages, which is just, your bills, your out-of-pocket expenses that you paid. The harder ones are your non-economic damages. Very difficult. You have to make sure that you get with a good attorney who knows exactly what they're doing. Okay. Now, the fifth reason that these personal injury claims are so difficult to resolve is just because it's so lengthy. They take such a long time, and a lot of folks just aren't patient, or they're in a situation where they're not able to work. Maybe they have bills piling up, they have all type of costs piling up, they don't have savings to tap into, so they can't endure maybe 2-3 years of waiting to be compensated for their injuries and damages. But the insurance companies know that if they're not willing to go the length to go to the trial and go the distance, well, then they'll make it harder, and they won't offer the full value. So those are just some of the reasons that the personal injury claims process can be so difficult. If you liked what you heard today, you think that it provided some value to you, please go ahead and click the subscribe button below. That way, when I make future videos, more videos that are informative, that provide value, you can be notified of it. Finally, if you think that you have a case that my firm may be able to assist you with, please feel free and go ahead and give us a phone call, or you can email us, or you can actually fill out the form below so we can review your case for free. And if it's a case that we think we can help you with, we will get in touch with you.